Respected viewers, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before I begin the episode, I would like to send my condolences along with the condolences of the Imam Hussein TV3 channel group to Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. May Allah hasten his reappearance, to the Ahlul-Bait and to the Muslim community for the martyrdom of the generous lady of Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam, the daughter of Imam Musa al-Kadhum, the sister of Imam Ali al-Ridha, the aunt of Imam Muhammad al-Jawad, the infallible Lady Ma'suma, Fatima Al-Ma'suma, peace be upon her, till the end of time. Decades before her blessed birth, Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam prophesied of a lady from my children whose name will be Fatima, daughter of Musa, who will die in the city of Qum. On the day of judgment, this lady will intercede for all of my Shia to enter heaven and to enter paradise. This pure lady died at the age of 28 in the year 201 after Hijrah. She was buried in the city of Qum, as Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam states, buried in the city of Qum as she was headed to see her oppressed brother, Imam al-Ridha alayhi salam, in Khurasan, also what is known today as Mashhad. So respected viewers, without further ado, welcome to our new show, Ma'suma, the gate of salvation, the gate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Respected viewers, welcome back with our show Ma'suma, the gate of salvation. Here with me, I am joined with Sheikh Muntadhar Al-Karbala'i to discuss and shed some light upon the significance and the life of Fatima Al-Ma'suma, the generous lady of Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam. So, Assalamu alaikum Shaykhana, how are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I would like to send my condolences to you as well as the two brothers right here, Abul Fadl Abbas and Hussein alayhi salam, for the martyrdom of a significant character within history. Fatima al-Ma'suma is known for her merits, is known for her karamat, for her karama, her generosity, her nobility to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and to all the Shia around the world. And unfortunately, it would be nice to actually go there on a night like this to condole her at her holy shrine. But inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless everyone to go to Ma'suma, because it is a very, very different and unique experience. But for the sake of the episode and for the sake of the show, we did call it Ma'suma, the gate of salvation. If you can input on that really quickly, and then we'll go into the show.
Inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. القول مني في جميع الأشياء قول علي محمد عليهم السلام فيما أسر وما أعلن وفيما بلغني عنهم وما لم يبلغني. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الذي يذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين آمين رب العالمين. We begin in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. All praise be to Him, and we send our peace and blessings upon Muhammad and his holy household, and our eternal damnation upon their enemies. And I as well send my condolences to, first of all, Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, and I send my condolences to the Imams, and especially to al-Kadhum alayhi salam, al-Ridha alayhi salam, and as well to the brothers of Father Abbas and Hussein alayhi salam, of course to the Maraja as well, and as well to the Islamic Ummah on the tragic occasion which marks the martyrdom of Sayyida Ma'suma alayhi salam. And like you said, she is the door of request, the door of vocation, the door of hajat, and beautiful title really. And inshallah, as we go through this journey talking about her, we will see why she herself is a door towards heaven, because it's a hadith that we will narrate inshallah, but we will narrate now and we'll make mention of it before.
Inshallah.
The hadith says that لِلْجَنَّةِ ثَمَانِيَةَ أَبْوَابٍ. Paradise has 8 doors, and one of these doors is in Qom.
Allah.
And of course, this fadl of Qom, or this merit that Qom has, it's not just because Qom is, of course Qom has a history, but Qom is also known as where, like we said, Sayyida Fatima Al-Ma'suma alayhi salam is buried there. On top of that, when it comes to Qom and the merits of Qom being the safety for the Shia in the future and being the nest of Al-Muhammad, that will come inshallah, but let us focus inshallah on the pure daughter and the sacred maiden, Sayyida Fatima Al-Ma'suma alayhi salam. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala.
Inshallah. Shaykhna, if you want to first discuss about the Quran, what does the Quran say about Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam? I mean, we do see in Surah Ibrahim with the parable of the tree and how it is stable in the heavens. What can you comment about that? I mean, regarding about the prelude and the journey of this incident.
Inshallah, yes, inshallah. Our journey will begin in the heavens, and then it will end inshallah on earth. So we begin, like you said, in the Surah Ibrahim, verse 24, 25. The verse which I have translated here as, do you not see how God has presented this parable? The parable of the good word that's spoken, kalimatu tayyibah, is like that tree, the tree that is stable and concrete while its roots lie in heaven. Kalimatun tayyibah ka shajaratin tayyibah asluha thabitun wa far'uha fis sama. Tu'ti ukuluha kullu heen bi'idni rabbiha. While its roots lie in the heavens, its sustenance refreshes itself constantly. All of this by the willpower of God. This is where we'll begin. And this, of course, will tell us basically where Sayyida Fatima alayhi salam comes from. Where Sayyida Fatima Al-Ma'suma alayhi salam, Karimatu Ahlul-Bait, as you introduced her, the generous one from amongst the holy household. And we know that this title, of course, and we will go over it again, but I'll mention it right now. One other person from the Ahlul-Bait alayhi salam, understand who was that? About Muhammad al-Mujtaba alayhi salam. Hassan al-Mujtaba. Karimu Ahlul-Bait. And she's the only other person that's known by Karimatu Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam. Now, this beautiful verse in the Quran, who do we go back to? We go back to As-Sadiq, we go back to Al-Baqir. This tells us basically, if you want to look at the essence of this verse, the true meaning behind this verse. What is this tree? And what are these roots? We look at, as the Imam alayhi salam in the exegesis of Ali ibn Ibrahim al-Qummi, his tafsir, he narrates the following. Al-Baqir alayhi salam, a man by the name al-Mustanir, he asked Abu Ja'far al-Baqir alayhi salam on what does this verse mean. He wants to know the truth behind this verse. And of course this beautiful is opposite of the other tree which is cursed in the Quran, Bani Umayyah. But let's go back to the tree. The tree is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Usually what is the tree? There's the tree, roots, branches, thamara, there is the fruits, then the leaves. So the Imam will tell you each and every single one of these. The tree is Rasulullah, and his nasab, his genealogy, is traced back to Banu Hashim. The roots are Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhim salam. The branches of the tree are Fatima al-Zahra. And then from this branches stems what? The fruits. The fruits are the Imams alayhim salam. And we are also part of this tree. Inshallah. We are the leaves. وَشِيَعَتُهُمْ are the leaves. Inshallah. You see that tree when that apple or that on the tree and the leaves be around the tree? Inshallah, we Shia, as the Imam says, are quoted to be Inshallah, we are true followers. Inshallah, we are counted as true followers, but we are. So this is the picture that we want to paint. Rasulullah, the branches, the roots, sorry, Imam Ali alayhi salam, the branches, Sayyida Fatima, the thamara, the fruits are whom? The Imams alayhi salam. And then of course from that the leaves are as Shia. And Sayyida Fatima alayhi salam branches from what? From one of these beautiful fruits, which is whom? Imam Musa ibn Ja'far al-Kadhum alayhi salam. Now this hadith, now in terms of references, people come back to Tafsir Ali ibn Ibrahim al-Qummi, and it's mentioned in various other sources, but That's that for the Quran.
Mhm.
Now, let's go back to the pure bloodline of Rasulullah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this nur, of course, that traveled and inherited by Imam after Imam until it came to al-Kadhum alayhi salam, and al-Kadhum gave birth to Fatima Al-Ma'suma alayhi salam, and al-Rida alayhi salam, and al-Qasim, and Ibrahim, and all these. Yani Shaykh al-Mufid, when you go check out the Irshad of Shaykh al-Mufid, he says, لِكُلِّ وَلَدٍ من أبناء الكاظم منقبة وفضيلة خاصة.
Allah.
Every single one of the sons or the daughters of al-Kadhum have some special merit and honor that either we know of or we don't know of. We have this hadith of Rasulullah where he says that on the day of judgment, every nasab, every relation will be cut except my nasab.
Allahu Akbar.
So that's why we do these programs. First of all, we want to please Rasulullah. Second of all, like you said, we all have our needs and we all want Sayyida Fatima to be pleased with us. And she is the door of pleasure. She is the door of Allah's pleasure.
Definitely.
As she is a door towards heaven.
Definitely.
So, and of course, her nasab continues still today.
Yeah.
And we will discuss that inshallah when we speak more about the Sa'd al-Musawiyin.
Definitely.
And the divine promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in which when Al-As ibn Wa'il, when he came to Rasulullah and called him al-Abtar, his progeny, do you know anybody today?
Where are they?
Nobody here today.
Where are they?
Nobody. Whereas the children of Rasulullah, through Fatima al-Zahra, through al-Kawthar, the abundance, you have the children of Fatima al-Zahra spanning every single part of God's green earth. Wherever you go now, either you find some Sayyid from either the Musawiyin, the Husayniyin, the Hasaniyin, from Imam al-Hadi, al-Askari. No matter what, you'll find some kind of connection back to Rasulullah through these 12 Imams. And this is Allah's divine promise.
Oh yeah.
And of course, from amongst the divine promise of Allah was the pure lady, Sayyida Fatima Al-Ma'suma alayha afdal salati wassalam.
I mean, as you mentioned, we do see the Musawiyin, the Sada al-Musawiyin, they are the majority, if you will, when it comes to the descendants from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why are they so predominant over the other Sada? What are some reasons behind that? I mean, we do see some narrations stating that Imam Musa al-Kadhum alayhi salam had 36 sons and daughters.
Yes.
So I mean, we do wonder. I mean, why are they so dominant and predominant over the other Sada? If you can shed some light upon that.
Okay. Of course, where to begin? There's a book that I took. The author of the book is Muhammad Ali Al-Muallim. He has a book titled Al-Fatima Al-Ma'suma alayhi salam. And from this book, from page 15 and onwards, begins to cite various reasons for why are the Sada al-Musawiyin, meaning what, those who go back to Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam, are the Sada that are predominant that we know today. It's usually Musawiyin, then there's also the Husayniyin that come right after them. And the Hasaniyin are usually the three main. Then of course there's the Naqawiyin that come from Imam al-Naqi alayhi salam, and then Radawiyin, as in Imam al-Rada alayhi salam. These usually are less because of course the after Imam al-Jawad and after Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, like al-Rada for example only didn't have much children, one or two maybe, even as the Jawad for example was one of the only children they say, for example. After that as well, like Imam al-Askari, al-Mahdi al-Muntar Ajalla Ta'ala Farj al-Sharif was the only son that he had, and so on and so forth. Some of them died young. For example, we have a Sayyid Muhammad Sab' al-Dajjal. He died very young. He didn't have time to leave a progeny, though they say he left 4 children whom are also ulama and who are Sada today. But you have in Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam the most children. Like you said, what did you say? 36 children. I mean, the quote I have here, I think, was from also Shaykh al-Mufid, when he mentions that the number of children of the Imam, and he begins to equate them as in they are from this mother and this mother and this mother. So that could be one of the first reasons that the Imam Musa ibn Ja'far had many children. I mean, I also found one of them that said even more than 40 children.
Allah.
So, depends really. You can go look at it, but let's say 36. 36 is still a big number.
That's a huge number.
And of course, this 36 and this number of children also is because the Imam alayhi salam wants to increase the Sad and increase the Shia, and which is how Rasulullah has promised us. He told us we love it that the men have a lot of children and a progeny to take over. So, and then of course, the next question we can pose and put on the same number one reason is the fact that how come we see them all over as well? We see them in Iraq, in Iran, all the way in Egypt, in Morocco, almost all over the place. And the main reason for that, which is reason number two, is the politics at the time. The politics which were played by the Abbasids at the time. And Mansur al-Dawaniqi, when he came into power, he caused Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam unbearable punishment or unbearable affliction upon the Imam alayhi salam. And his slogan was either we kill Bani Hashim or we have no government. That's
Allahu
it.
Akbar.
After him, who? After him came Al-Mahdi Al-Abbasi. Then after him Al-Hadi Al-Abbasi. Then who came after that? Harun. Then Al-Ma'mun. Al-Ma'mun was the one who called Al-Rida alayhi salam towards Khurasan. So he says the second reason to be maybe why the Imams have the dhurriya, their progeny, scattered all over the regions, and why the Musawwin are the most, is the fact that first of all, during that time, Imam al-Kadhum alayhi salam was facing Syrian oppression from who? Al-Mahdi, Al-Hadi, and as well as Harun al-Rashid. From these three, he was dealt oppression. And I mean, we see, for example, you have Sayyida Ma'suma as an example. Her home is where? Medina. Where is she buried in Qom? Imam Nurullah, his home is Medina. Khurasan and Qom, by the way, at least 4 or 5 hours by plane ride it takes between them. Around the Shiraz, there's Ahmed, I think, or Ibrahim, son of Imam al-Kadhum alayhi salam, in Iraq. And we visited him last week together. Al-Qasim ibn Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam. Where is his grave? All the way
in
south of Karbala in Hilla. And his story is just as unbearable as the other stories. And then of course, don't forget, these Sayyids, they bring up their children. They don't have to be direct sons. It's just that their genealogy goes back to whom? Al-Kadhimi alayhi salam. And it's for that reason, alhamdulillah, now we have Sada in America. We have Sada in Europe.
Everywhere.
We have Sada in Africa. We have Sada that are dispersed all over the world. It's true, it's true.
It is.
It's a fact.
It is.
And I want to narrate the following hadith, and what I'll do is I'll do it in summary.
Inshallah. Can we do that after a
yes,
break, inshallah?
No problem, inshallah.
So, Shaykhna, I would like to leave with a short quote by Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, and then inshallah if we can touch upon it after the break. So Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam narrates that a lady from my children, similar to the one I already narrated, a lady from my children by the name of Fatima will be buried in the city of Qum. Whoever visits her shrine will certainly be admitted to heaven. So inshallah we'll touch upon this narration, but after the short break. So respected viewers, stay tuned, for we'll go into a short break inshallah and come back to you shortly. So stay tuned.
بالحظم والهم والمحن قضت عمرها والنايبات على الرضا كسرت ظهرها كل ساعة تشتاق وتحن لأخوها عاشت حزن وفراق مثل أمها وأبوها والفارقة ما ترحم فقد الرضا خلاها معصومة يا ناس معصومة يا اي والله تشبه اخت عب اي هالحرة.
Respected viewers, welcome back. Hope you inshallah enjoyed that report. But we left off at the narration by Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam, where he prophesied about his granddaughter, Ma'suma, Fatima Al-Ma'suma, peace and blessings be upon her, where he says, a lady from my children by the name of Fatima will be buried in the city of Qum. Whoever visits her shrine will certainly be admitted to heaven. So inshallah we are going to shed some light upon this narration, but first let's welcome back my dear guest, Sheikh Muntadhar. Welcome back, Habib Sheikhna. Alhamdulillah. Sheikhna, this narration, it's prophesizing about the granddaughter of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam.
No.
Some narrations say about 45 to 50 years before her birth.
Correct.
So we do find that significance was placed in Fatima Al-Ma'suma alayhi salam before she was even born.
No.
Why is that? Can you just
inshallah,
comment on that real quickly?
Let me quote the hadith in its entirety, just for the reference purposes for the viewers. If my viewers go back to Mustadrak al-Wasa'il of Al-Mirza al-Nuri, volume 10, page 368, hadith 12,196. Basically what happens in this narration is that a man by the name of Al-Hasan ibn Muhammad ibn Al-Hasan al-Qummi, in a book called Tarikh al-Qum, the history of Qum, he says several of the inhabitants of Ray. Ray basically is the region that covers Tahran and Qom and Sawa, and is a large portion of Iran, basically, Mantaqatul Ray. So a group from Al-Ray entered upon Al-Sadiq alayhi salam, and they said to him, marhaban, or they said to him, nahnu min ahl al-Ray. And then Imam alayhi salam said, marhaban bi ikhwanina min ahl Qom. So they said, welcome. They said to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, we are from Ahl al-Ray. Imam Sadiq says, greetings to the inhabitants of Qum. They said, we are from Ahl al-Ray. The Imam said, greetings to the inhabitants of Ahl al-Qum. And I think, as it says here, they repeated this thrice or 4 times. Until the Imam alayhi salam said this, Inna lillahi haramun wa hiya Makkah.
Allahu
Wa
Akbar.
inna lil-Rasul haraman wa hiya Medina. Wa inna li Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam haraman wa hiya al-Kufa. Wa inna lana haramun wa huwa baldatu Qum. He says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a sanctuary, and that sanctuary is what? Makkah al-Mukarramah. For Rasulullah, it's what? Medina al-Munawwara. And then for Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, it's al-Kufa. And then he says, walana, we as well have a sanctuary. Just like, and ours is Qum. Then the hadith you mentioned, وستدفن فيها امرأة من أولادي تسمى فاطمة فمن زارها وجبت له الجنة. Then, as you said, وكان هذا الكلام منه عليه السلام قبل أن يولد الكاظم عليه السلام. So then he says, and in this belda, in this city called Qum, a daughter of mine, or a daughter from my progeny, will be buried, and her name is Fatima, and whoever visits her, then paradise shall be an obligation for him, meaning Allah has promised him paradise. Then it says, the Rawi, the narrator of the hadith, states that the Imam mentioned this. This is from the knowledge of the Imam, the Umur al-Ghaybiyya, the unseen knowledge. He said that, and the Imam mentioned this matter before al-Kadhum was born. So like you said, 35, 40 years, Allahu A'lam. And this hadith basically, like you said, it shows us the significance of Qum, and especially the significance in Sayyida Fatima Al-Ma'suma alayhi salam. For it prophesizes, the Imam prophesizes this, that the coming of Fatima to Qum, and that her grave there will be a place for a sanctuary for the Shia. And I think that this hadith as well is one of the reasons why when Sayyida Fatima, as we will see inshallah in the future, when Sayyida Fatima alayhi salam reached Qum, why the Qummiyin and the Ash'ari at the time, bin Banu Khazraj, he greeted Fatima al-Ma'suma to the point where they came outside And as when they heard about the coming of Fatima Al-Ma'suma while she was on her camel, he took the camel and began to ride it until he let her inside his house, and she stayed in that house until she passed away. So this prophecy was for a reason. First of all, to show the maqam of the Imam in terms of knowledge, to show the maqam of Fatima Al-Ma'suma, and also to inform the Shia that when that time comes, when my granddaughter will come to Qum, take care of my granddaughter.
Definitely.
So this is what happens when you contemplate upon the hadith of Muhammad. You're able to extrapolate several different reasons why the Imam would say something in the way he said. And also remember, every time they would say Ahl al-Ray, say no, Ahl al-Qawm.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. But Shaykhna, if we wanted to get to know Lady Fatima Al-Ma'suma alayhi salam, peace be upon her, we first have to examine and discuss the life of her parents. I mean, we do know that her mother was a pure lady. Her name doesn't come to my mind. But in order to know, I mean, the wife of Imam al-Kadhum alayhi salam, the mother of Imam Rida alayhi salam, and some narrations say that this mother, the wife of Imam Musa al-Kadhum, had only Imam al-Rida and Ma'suma alayhi salam. So there was a strong connection between Ma'suma and Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, to the point where she had to leave Medina and go to Khurasan, what is also known now as Mashhad. But if we want to get to know Ma'suma, we first have to know her parents. So if you can tell us more about the life of her mother.
Inshallah. Of course, the father of the Sayyida alayhi salam,
Musa al-Kadhum,
Musa ibn Ja'far al-Kadhum, the one who suffered from the imprisonments of Banu Abbas for over 20 years.
Yes.
And remember, one of the ulama used to say, yes, there is no day like Ashura, but there are no days in imprisonment like Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam. And which is why Musa ibn Ja'far deserves, just like Imam Hussein. I mean, I actually have to apologize now, because every Imam deserves these majalis of 10 days.
Definitely.
But there's something different about Imam al-Kadhum alayhi salam, Imam Hussein, and like Fatimiyya, for example. And that's also it that we have to make sure I mention this right now. These days are also considered Fatimiyya al-Ula.
No.
So we forgot to do this, and now we do it, inshallah. And we apologize to Sayyida Fatima alayhi salam that this week
we do apologize.
Is Fatimiyya al-Ula, the first Fatimiyya. And quickly, background behind that is that Fatimiyya is divided into 3 Fatimiyat because we have 3 narrations that are the closest to tell us the date in which Sayyida Fatima alayhi salam was martyred, or not martyred, where basically she was martyred, because people mistake that the day she died is 45 days, for example, or 75 days or 95 days. The attack on the house of Fatima happened right after Saqifa, but it was because of that attack that she got sick, and then 45 days later, or 75 or 95 days later, she passed away. Salamullahi alayha. So this Fatimiyya al-Ula falls under the Fatimiyya al-Ula, meaning 45 days after the istishhad of Rasulullah al-Azam sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The next one, inshallah, which will be Jumada al-Ula, 13th. Then the third one will be in Jumada al-Thani, the 3rd of Jumada al-Thani, which will be the 3rd Fatimiyya. So inshallah, and of course, since we remember Fatima al-Ma'suma, we are in remembrance of Sayyida Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam at the same time. But back to the mother of Sayyida Fatima al-Ma'suma alayhi salam. So the name that is most known for Sayyida Fatima al-Ma'suma is Sayyida Tuqtum. Other names, Najma, Tahira, Sumana, al-Banin, Khurayzan, and other names. The name that she was known when she was a maid servant, when the Imam alayhi salam bought her, was Tuqtum. It is said that the Imam changed her name as soon as she gave birth to Rida alayhi salam, calling her At-Tahira.
Allah.
And the reason, and I like how what you said that it's important to know the mother. The father we know.
Yeah.
The mother also has merit, honor, piety. A mother that was known for her sincerity towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's narrated that when Imam Rida alayhi salam was born, Imam Rida alayhi salam, it's a beautiful image to picture, but he was a little bit, you can say, chubbier than the usual baby, as the hadith says. So she spent more time with him, nursing him, breastfeeding him. Now I want to show everybody what it means to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One day, the Sayyida Najma, Sayyida Tuqtum, the mother of Rada alayhi salam, said to her companions, I need you to help me in nursing my son Rada. When they asked her why, she said, as soon as I gave birth to him, I have not had time with my Lord. I have not had enough time for the extra supplications and the prayer I used to do. This is a mother. This is a mother. This is the characteristics we look back to. And by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have the most amazing role models when it comes to women. From the beginning to the end, we have the most amazing. We have ulama from the ladies that we have, but we do not refer back to them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, but that's one thing. That shows you her piety.
Yes.
Now, to summarize the quick story in which Shaykh al-Mufid in his Irshad narrates, well, those who were back to, there is a translation of Shaykh al-Mufid's Irshad, the book of guidance, that is translated by an academic by the name of I.K.A. Howard. And he is a non-Muslim who translated Kitab al-Irshad. And it's a very good translation of Kitab al-Irshad. And I encourage people to refer back to this translation, which is on page 435. Basically what happened is that a man by the name of Hisham ibn Ahmed, Ali ibn Musa, Imam al-Kadhum alayhi salam came to him and he told him, do you know of any news that a man from al-Maghrib, from that area of al-Maghrib, has come? Hisham said no. The Imam said, indeed, a man from al-Maghrib, from that western part, the western area, has come. Let us go greet him. Hisham said that we together rode our horses towards this man. We saw this man. This man was a man who used to sell maidservants. Hisham said, show us what you have. And of course, Abu al-Hasan alayhi salam al-Kadhum said, I don't need any of those. Show us what you have. I know you have another one, another maidservant. The man said, I have nothing else but another sick maidservant. Marida, he said. The Imam says, what is wrong? Why don't you offer her with the other 7? The man just was angry. He refused and he walked away. The Imam tells Ahmed, Hisham ibn Ahmed, sorry, tomorrow you go back to this man and whatever amount he gives you for this maidservant, for this bondwoman, you will give him. He said, I went back and indeed, whatever he asked for, I gave him. I took her and then the man, the seller asked him, he's like, who was that man that was with you yesterday? He says, he's a nobleman from Banu Hashim. From what, they asked him, from what branch of Banu Hashim?
Allah.
He said, that's all I can tell you. Of course, during that time, and as we mentioned, Imam al-Kadhum faced, Harun did not leave a stone unturned. Al-Harun, and especially Al-Mansur. Al-Mansur built the entire city, his entire reign on the bodies of the Alawiyyin while they were still alive. As we read in the incidents that's narrated in history, that the pillars, when he would begin to pour the material to build the pillars, he would pour it while the Sayyid would still be alive in the pillars. And of course, no, not even Bani Umayyah did what these guys did. But that is something else. So after that, basically what happened, this is the part where we want to focus on, is that the man said, no, before you leave, I want to inform you something. He said, I went out to buy her from a remote area in al-Maghrib. He didn't mention exactly where in al-Maghrib. So it could be somewhere north of Africa, Maghrib, Algeria.
So Maghrib as Morocco.
It doesn't really, because sometimes when they say Maghrib, it could mean that area. So anywhere from the Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, but that area.
Yeah, northern Africa.
Yeah. He said, a woman from Ahlul Kitab, from the people of the book, came to me and asked me, who is this maidservant that you had? He said, I bought her for myself. He said, no. She said, no. For this woman shall not be with you. This woman should be with the best of Allah's creations on earth.
Allahu Akbar.
And then the Hisham says, indeed. And then she says actually that she has a prophecy as well, that she will give birth to whom? To a man that has not been seen like him in the east or the west.
Allah.
Sayyida Musa alayhi salam. And then he says, of course, that after this matrimony between them, Al-Rida was born sometime after. And very beautiful also here, Al-Muntadhar Al-Qummi, Sahib Fatih Al-Janan. He says that the Imam gathered his companions, and he said to them this: by Allah, I did not marry her except by Allah's commands. So the Imam going out, buying this maidservant is not something that he just picked and chose. It's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed.
Definitely.
Now somebody might argue this and say there is another story which says that Hamida, the mother of the Imam, is the one who actually bought the maidservant. What we can do is group these two ahadith so there's no contradictions between each other. So they actually overlap and fit perfectly. Which is that he seeked the maidservant for his mother Hamida until the time Imam Sadiq alayhi salam died, until he married her during that time. Because it's said that Hamida would always talk about Sayyida Tuqtum in high praise. For example, she said, oh son, this maidservant I have not seen like her in merit and honor. I do not doubt in the fact that Allah will purify her progeny. Her progeny, she says. So basically, what we can say from this is that she is a lady who was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Sayyida Hamida, the mother of Imam al-Kadhum alayhi salam, told her son the mother of Imam al-Kadhum told her son al-Kadhum that Allah will purify her progeny. And from that al-Kadhum alayhi salam, and like we said, al-Ma'suma, al-Qasim, Ibrahim, and many other children. And of course, Gharib al-Ghuraba, Mashhad al-Rida, he is the Imam alayhi salam, so there's no introduction for Imam al-Rida alayhi salam.
Definitely.
But that basically could be considered this mother of Sayyida Fatima. So you know where she was raised. She was raised, and by the way, she was also, I mean, they say that she might have, when it comes to her father alayhi salam, al-Kadhum, I mean, it says that either she did not see her father at all, or she only saw him for 4 years or less. Because remember, al-Kadhum alayhi salam, what did he see from his children?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, we did get a very interesting and a unique story. I mean, we do, the mothers of the A'imma, not
more,
all of
inshallah.
them are discussed in history. I mean, we rarely see, except for, of course, the mother of Imam al-Mahdi, Ajlah Ta'ala Faraj al-Sharif, the mother of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the mother of Prophet Muhammad, and the mother of Ma'suma. I mean, even her, the mothers of our Imams are oppressed by us Shia for not mentioning their merits, what they have contributed to the religion of Islam by bringing the Imams to life.
I mean, this is an idea, inshallah, that we should implement in the future.
Inshallah.
Is to speak about these pious women, not just the mothers of the Ma'sumin.
Definitely.
There's a lady by the name of Walad.
Yes.
There's a man that you probably heard of, Zurara ibn A'yan and Himran ibn A'yan.
Yeah, the two brothers.
How many narrations in Kitab al-Kafi and al-Istibsar and al-Kutub in general are books that have been narrated from Imam al-Baqir and Sadiq from Zurara or Himran?
Yeah.
Thousands? Thousands is something maybe not even enough to elaborate on. Who was the reason for this Zurara and this Himran and this entire family who were born from a father who was a Nasabi? How did they come towards Tashayya'? Their sister by the name of Walad was the reason for their Tashayya', for their reason towards them holding the Ahlul-Bait alayhim salam. So every time we take, for example, a narration from As-Sadiq alayhi salam that's narrated from Zurara or his brother, which tells us, for example, about the fadila of the tasbih of Fatima al-Zahra, the merit.
Yes.
So, of course, Zurara will get reward for narrating this to us. But who gets...
sisters,
sometimes when you want to look at the status of this lady, it's hard to imagine, because she is the reason that one of the greatest traditionists that we have, Zurara and others, and of course the same thing goes for a lot, by the way, a lot of our ulama, and a lot of these narrators of hadith, sometimes you find it's the wife or the daughter, the one who played influence in their change, like Abu Dhar al-Ghafari. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari. Who's Abu Dhar al-Ghafari? No need introduction. According to history, his wife is the one who first informed him about Islam. and took him towards Rasulullah, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, alayhi afdal salatu wa salam.
Alayhi salatu wassalam. Shaykhana, we actually, unfortunately, we came to the end of the episode, inshallah. But we will continue our discussion tomorrow by the will of Allah. But I would like to leave with a short narration by Imam Rida alayhi salam, which will tie in with tomorrow's episode. He says, whoever visits my sister Ma'suma in Qum is like the one who has visited me in Mashhad in Khurasan. So, inshallah, Shaykhana, I would like to thank you for joining us tonight. And respected viewers, I would like to thank you for tuning in this episode. But stay tuned for tomorrow, because tomorrow, inshallah, will be a continuation of this episode where we will discuss and examine the life of Lady Fatima Al-Ma'suma alayhi salam, the generous lady of Ahlul-Bait. Thank you very much once again for tuning in. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykhana. Allah yakhallikum, inshallah.